I'm Amber Davies and welcome to Call to Stage. This is the space where musical theatre takes centre stage. From unforgettable backstage stories with incredible special guests to insights from my life and my theatre journey. We're leaving it all on the mic every single week, so let's jump in. Hi guys, welcome back to Call to Stage with me, Amber Davies. Now, I have a star sitting next to me. She was born and raised in the magical NYC. It's Christina Bianco.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you for coming on. Is Christina our first American star pop? You are!
What a distinction. I'm so honored. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, I love that. The first American accent. I love it.
And I'll try not to slip into a Britishy thing. It's my biggest fear. I moved to London about 3 years ago, and my big fear is that I'm going to become like Madonna,
get some real twang.
And yeah, it's funny because whenever I go home to the States, people are like, "Oh my God, you sound so British," and then whenever I talk to my friends, they're like, "Oh my God, you're literally so New York," and it's like I can't win. I just can't win.
Oh my God. Are you saying anything with a bit of an English twang?
I do. My American friends will tell you that I do. I think what I have is more the inflection.
Okay.
Because I'm tired of saying things that my British friends don't understand,
okay.
or I have to repeat twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like we will say, "I haven't done that," or whatever, and Brits will say, "Oh, I've not done that." So I would say now, "Oh, I've not done that," and my American friends will go, "Oh, you're so British." You know? I'm not saying it with an accent; I'm just saying it with the inflection. But yeah, it's a little difficult. And then you get cast doing things with British accents, and then you're absolutely up a creek.
I was going to say you're so good at British accents.
It was a real rude awakening for my husband when we moved here. It was right after COVID, going into 2021.
Yeah.
And I was doing the national tour of the rise and fall of Little Voice. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I was just going around the house doing a British accent. I was absolutely doing a very specific, like Lancashire Northern accent. It was like I wanted to do the show for so long. And I thought, this is my one chance. And now I have to do it, for Northerners in the North. Like if I get this wrong, they're going to kick me out of the country. And so I walked around the house like this all day. And he was like, if you don't stop, I'm going to kick you out. So Little Voice had to be left at the door.
I bet he felt like he was cheating on you every single time that he started.
He would be very honest about this. He does pretty terrible accents.
Okay.
So he can't criticize me too much. He knows it's part of my job. But yeah, that wasn't the sexiest accent to bring home. And somebody else it might have been, but I was playing like introverted, quiet little one. So one day I'll have to play a sexy Northerner. But this time it was not that situation.
Now, Christina, pick any role you've ever played. What would be your pre-show ritual?
I think the one that I remember most fondly is when I was doing Funny Girl in Paris. Mm-hmm. I had this cute little dressing room. Not little, it was a nice size dressing room. But, by a lot of other people. Yeah. And I heard Zizi say something similar. I never really sing anything from the show or the genre of the show that I'm in. I like to have loose warm-ups where I'm doing a little bit, depending on my how I'm feeling that day, what I really need. But I always like to sing some songs full out that are not the style of the show.
Interesting.
And so for some reason, being in Paris, doing a period piece about New York, I thought the genre that I should sing the most was country music.
Wow.
So I would I make, particularly for Funny Girl, very rubber face stuff. So I would make crazy faces in the mirror, kind of make sure I was chewing and, ready for anything. I would stretch. I always do 10 push-ups. And then I would belt out probably Reba McEntire's Fancy or Martina McBride, Independence Day, or Faith Hill, This Kiss, which is way too hard, which is why she lowers that key live. She lowers that key.
Does she?
Most people do. Most people lower all the keys. Studio is different than live. But yeah, that's what I would do. And I remember some of the Parisian crew being like, "Oh, what is this? What are you listening to?" And then it became a fun thing, like, what's Christina going to sing today? So yeah, making sure my voice is warm, but
Christina, the country girl.
Yeah. Oh, there was a time in my life where I thought I was going to go to Nashville and sing and write country music under the name Christina Carlisle.
Oh, really? Was that a different lifetime?
It was a different lifetime. It did not go well. But people loved my voice and they loved my music. But, I wasn't really the right all-American cookie cutter country music aesthetic.
Yeah.
I think they were looking for. Shocking. I know. Really shocking. But
I love that. What a story to tell. You tried it. You can't knock a girl for trying.
I wanted to give it a go. And
I
I've
love
never
that.
really, it's funny, people say, well, do you write your own stuff? I was never a big songwriter, but I had ideas, so I went to Nashville to collaborate, and I've always loved that. That's what I love about the arts, is the collaboration of it.
You strike me as someone with like the craziest creative mind.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep you on speed dial.
Yeah. Yeah. Just call me. Now, I'm going to let you announce this. You have brand new news, which you've been dying to tell people since February. So please tell our listeners.
I'm absolutely overjoyed and over the moon to be playing the narrator in the big UK tour of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, working for the Andrew Lloyd Webber once again. And it's just a dream come true. I, of course, like many people, grew up listening to Joseph and the many versions of it, because I'm a bit older than you, darling. And I'll never forget that it was my main age for it was the 1991 revival.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, like I would sing along to the cast album. At that point, there were high school choirs that would be in the show. And my high school did not even like submit to be in the running. And I was livid. I was like, you mean we could be at this show? And I'm sitting here looking at my desk right now. This is ridiculous. We could be on Broadway. And so for me to do it, I mean, I've played the narrator before, but obviously not the official production.
Not for the king.
It feels really extra special because I so grew up listening to, like I said, the many versions of it.
Yeah.
And knowing that it was a bit more popular in England than it was in America.
It
still is. Not even just a bit. Now I realize the scale of the love of Joseph. It's a special honor for me, I have to say, as an American coming into it. And I also appreciate that massive celebrities, particularly in this most recent Palladium production, which is the production that's touring, massive celebrities have played the narrator. So I not only emotionally have big shoes to fill, but it's also like, oh my God, like, Sheridan Smith, Alexandra Burke, Lindsay Haitley. So yeah, it's no pressure at all.
I love that.
It's such an honor, and I'm just so excited about it.
So
I'm so grateful.
It's nostalgia for you.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. And I just thank you so much for announcing it on our gorgeous show.
No exciting
I
news.
mean, we will be buying tickets. I will be buying tickets. The team will be buying tickets. And you guys buy your tickets also, please.
We're touring all over till about September of 25.
Oh my gosh, you're literally booked until this time next year. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time on the road, but it's okay. My husband and I just got a car, and
so is he
we can bring my
you?
15-year-old dog on the road to visit and all that. No, they're going to visit. I mean, they're not going to come on the road with me the whole time, but that's the great thing. Going on tour in America, you leave your friends and family and you're like, bye, I'll never see you again.
Oh, really?
Because it's such a big country and we don't have trains that can take you to and from the way you can so easily here. So one of the reasons that we moved to the UK, I was getting a lot of work in Europe and here, and we loved it. And it's one of those things where we just thought, why not? Like, you never want to wonder what if. And, COVID definitely made me go, let's just do it. And we had a year to plan without, any interruption. But one of the reasons was I thought, even if I go on the road, which I was about to do in Little Voice, I knew that job was coming. I was like, we can see each other. It's not like I'm never coming home. No. It's not like I can't say, you know what, I've had a really rough time. This week has been really hard. I just really need to see you.
Yeah.
Even, for your friends and all that. So you can just hop on a train or hop in a car and be somewhere in 2 hours. And it's funny because all my British friends here, like I remember going to see my friends in White Christmas in Manchester. I had a bunch of friends in the show and they were like, you're coming to see the show? What are you doing? I said, well, I'm taking a train and I'm going to spend the night in the hotel. I've never really seen Manchester at Christmas, so I'd get to see you and have it all win. And they were all like, but it's so far. And I was like, oh, honey.
You have no idea.
No, it's not. Ohio is far from New York. California is far from New York. Manchester is not far from London.
It isn't. You can go back in a day.
So touring is much more doable here.
Are you doing long stints or short stints? So one
bit
week?
of both. We have some 2-weekers.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. But it's so many shows are touring, which is great. But as so many shows are touring, I think it's quite competitive. I think it's why there's a lot of 1-weekers. I've made that up. I'm not a producer, but I just think that...
Assume.
Yeah.
I've just come off tour.
Yeah.
And for me, I found a different type of gratitude for the audiences, like the different types of audiences. So the more north you get, the crazier
Rowdy.
they are. Yeah.
I've learned that from Little Voice. I learned that from my concert tours.
Yeah.
I think I had to kick people out in Belfast. Well, that's different, but Belfast and
That is
also
completely-
in Cardiff and in Liverpool.
Where
Sorry.
I find the more south you go, the more polite they are.
Yeah.
Even like with applauding.
Mm.
Okay. Hello.
You know,
Anyone there?
I still really enjoy it. I know some people say that they're very quiet and it's so off-putting. Sometimes you don't know if you're enjoying the show. I say a lot of American audiences, it's just a general vibe. It's not good or bad. They tend to sit back when they watch you, as if, okay, now I'm ready to be entertained. Entertain me.
Yeah.
You know, and I find that Brits lean forward.
Yeah.
And lean in, and that. So even if they're quiet, they're really listening. I usually find. So I enjoy that. I appreciate that.
And I love the contrast of American audiences and British audiences.
Yeah, it's funny because American audiences will sit back like this, but they'll be the first people to get up.
Okay.
Like you could just like blow a kiss and they'll be like, oh my God, and they'll stand up and cheer. And you're like, I didn't do anything yet, honey. But British audiences, you have to earn it a little bit more, but they're the ones who are leaning forward a bit more. I think it's really interesting. It certainly has to do with upbringing and general demeanor, but a lot of it is everyone is so influenced by the room.
Yeah.
And that's why, as those of us who have done touring with 1 or 2 week runs, even within the same, let's say, southern or northern city, each audience every day is different depending on the time of day. Is it raining? Was it a wild night the night before?
Yes.
Is it, so that's the great thing, as we all know about theater, is
Yeah.
it makes our job easier, not harder, because then doing the same thing every day has some natural variety.
Yeah, exactly. Every day feels different. Now, I've got to ask, did you train?
Yes, but it doesn't mean what it means here.
Because
Did you
I
train?
was searching high and low to see if you had any professional training, and I could not find it on the internet.
Really?
Anywhere.
Am I that old? I went to NYU Tisch School of the Arts. So I did. I went to a big art school. Went for college.
Okay.
So I have my BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, from NYU Tisch School of the Arts. And I double majored in journalism because I could.
Oh my
Because it was
gosh.
expensive. And I thought I better get something else out of this. Not that I ever wanted to quote unquote fall back on it, but I thought because I loved writing that I could use it maybe.
So you're not just talented, you're actually very intelligent.
You could pretend that. Yeah, sure.
I think we can say that. I think your degree will show that.
I always sang, and my parents took me to a million classes, and I think my mom's second job was literally driving me from school to class to a rehearsal for something. And I'm an only child, and I was very lucky that they were able to give me those opportunities and spend that time on me. But yeah, when I went to college, I had already done a lot of theater. I auditioned for shows in New York. Like when I was little, I tell people this, and they don't believe me, but it's like I was pretty much cast, absolutely cast as young Cosette in Les Mis.
Oh, really?
And I got my one and only growth spurt. And when they called me in for I don't know if it was a fitting or something, the next time I had to go in to see them, I was too tall. I outgrew.
And then that was it for you. You did not grow any. You didn't grow
I never grew again. I barely grew again. And then years later, I was too short for Eponine and all that. I was like, how am I too tall and too short? It's
You
not
just
fair.
missed it by an inch.
Yeah, it was never meant to be. I'm still holding out hope for Madame Thenardier or something. If Bonnie Langford can do it, so
But
can I.
honestly, guys, Christina is absolutely tiny.
I'm 4'11".
Yeah. When you walked in, I thought, holy hell.
And I'm still in a heel. She's
And
always
you are
in
in
a
a
heel.
heel.
Yes, it is a child-sized shoe. Thank
Is
you.
it?
Thank you, new look. You know what? I don't always wear heels because I like to go for long walks and go with my dog and all
Yeah.
that. But people definitely don't treat you the same when you're short. And I grew up with a lot of people always literally looking down and saying things like, oh my God. Wait, put your hand up. Let me see your hand. Oh my God, it's so tiny. Oh my God, look at her hand. And there's only so much of that you can take.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would just be like, what can I do? So I'll wear a heel. I'll get a little bit dressed up. I won't look like a child.
But you may be small, but your aura isn't small. You demand a room.
I'm a loud Italian New Yorker. I've definitely never been a subdued person. Doesn't match a size. But no,
Height means nothing.
I feel like there's so many great shorties in history in performance at musical theater. We have, of course, Edith Piaf was 4'9". Judy Garland, 4'11".
Was Judy
Elaine
Garland?
Page, 4'11". Kristen Chenoweth, 4'11".
Christina
Elena Roger,
Bianco?
also, who funnily enough, of course, Elaine Page played Piaf and
Yeah.
Evita, 4'11". So I'm still waiting for those offers. Evita, Piaf, I'm fully ready. I can sing them. And I know I can fit over the balcony. It'll be fine. But it's a legacy, but it is really difficult. I mean, I can't tell you how many shows have said, we love Christina, but she's just too short. And it's a real thing. And we can't talk, it's we talk a lot about, how times are changing and people are more open-minded, but I do find it always so refreshing when people don't care about height. Like when I just did the 80th anniversary concert of Oklahoma. at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. I was with like tall ZZ Stralin and tall Hill Dunster, but my main co-star, Jordan Shaw, is so tall. And I was so grateful that the director, Bill Deemer, put me with him. And he's like, oh my gosh, it's so right for physical comedy and it works out perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm 4'11". My husband is 6 feet tall. It's not like, sorry, I still say that. I'm still very American. I'm saying it by feet. But you know, it's like we do coexist in nature.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to force it a little bit. But I was so happy that it wasn't a consideration. So I'm hoping the trend continues.
I love that. Let's talk about on YouTube. Right, I got this from Google, but on YouTube you have over 25 million views.
Like nowadays, it's actually not so much, but back in the day, in the 1700s when I got popular on YouTube, yeah, it was quite a big deal.
I mean, I still find that absolutely ridiculous amount of views.
And without all of social media at the time to really help it. Like it was the only word I could use is it was totally organic, you know?
Guys who are listening, if you haven't, go on YouTube, type in Christina Bianco, Total Eclipse of the Heart, where she sings the song as multiple different vocalists. It is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
When did you discover you could create that sound, multiple different sounds and really succeed at it?
Those two things were definitely very far apart in time. I always had a natural ear for mimicry.
Okay.
I was not that kid that ran around the house being like, hey mom, here's my Judy Garland, like listen to me do this. I wasn't really aware that I was doing the voices.
Interesting.
And I remember my mom saying things to me like, honey, don't sing it like the recording, sing it like you. And I thought she meant, particularly as I got older, I thought she meant like, oh, don't sing their phrasing or don't sing their... But she was saying, no, you are singing along to Sunday in the Park with George and you are impersonating Bernadette Peters. But I didn't know I was doing it. I just did it very naturally. And so it wasn't until I kind of started performing in theater, children's theater, community theater, and then regional theater and getting my equity card points, working in the dinner theaters and all that. And they would ask the questions like, can any one of you do a kid voice or an old lady voice or whatever? And then I would go, I think I can do that. And I'd always get the job. I'd always, oh yeah, you can do that. Christina, you got that. And then someone had said to me, oh, you change your voice really easily. You should do voiceover work. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll look into that. And then the show that changed my life was this long-running show in New York, and some of you may know it from its runs here in London, called Forbidden Broadway.
Yes.
And it's a show that lovingly spoofs and pokes fun at all the Broadway shows or West End shows and their stars. It's helpful in that show if you can do impressions of the contemporary stars, but also the really classic ones from from Barbra Streisand to Julie Andrews to Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth and all that. And I would grow up singing along to those cast albums, essentially impersonating the impersonators, like the impressionists. I always joke that I didn't do my Liza Minnelli for a long time. I did Christine Petty's Liza Minnelli, before I did mine.
Yeah.
It was honestly when I was older and I was like, I think I can do that. I can do a couple of impressions. It wouldn't be embarrassing. And it really wasn't until 2008, 2007 that I went to an open call, like an actors equity, open call for Forbidden Broadway, waiting online outside in New York City, where they said, we're looking for future replacements, which means they're not looking for anybody, really. This is a required call. And I thought, hey, when am I going to get in? They never have auditions. The show's been running since I was not even born.
Okay.
They have a roster of people. They're not going to hire anybody. But go live your best life and audition. So everyone, there's your first lesson. Always show up. And I took a chance. I didn't audition with a million things. I mean, the song I sang in my own voice, I do remember, it was very cliche. I sang Gorgeous from the Apple Tree.
Love that.
Because it was funny and belty and soprano. And I was like, what can I show you in 32 bars? And then they were like, great, do you do any impressions? And I was like, why, yes, of course.
This is my bag.
Yeah. And I did Bernadette Peters and a Kristen Chenoweth. Obviously, my knowledge of the history of the show helped me. But that's what it was. They liked my impressions. They brought me back. They called me back. And then suddenly I was put not on the road, but directly into the New York production. And within about 6 months, I was reviewed in the New York Times as a great impressionist. I was asked to perform at the Friars Club, the big comedy club in New York. And I was like, well, I can't go in there and do a whole Broadway set because these people don't necessarily know about Broadway.
No.
And that's when I went, who else can you do? And this is when my mom was like, you do Shania Twain, you do Rhea McEntire, you do. I was like, I do what? And she's like, yeah, you've always done these voices. So honestly, it was 2008 when I threw myself into that world.
I just can't believe you did your Broadway debut from an open call.
Yeah, well, off Broadway. off-Broadway debut.
I mean,
but yeah, it was great.
For me, that has blown my mind.
And I got a Drama Desk Award nomination for it. And that's
yes,
what
you
got
got
me.
2 of them, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yes, you
thank
have.
you. But I will tell you, doing Forbidden Broadway in New York, and then randomly the combination of that and being well reviewed for that, and then having YouTube videos go viral in which I did impressions, then led to my selling out concerts here in London and led to David Babani at the Meunier Chocolate Factory going, I need a replacement for the cast of Forbidden Broadway here in London that's transferring. So this girl's done Forbidden Broadway and she's performing in London. Let's just do her. So I was handed my West End debut.
Oh, were you?
By David Babani without an audition because I had done the show, obviously.
But you've dedicated your whole life to performing, really.
Yeah.
So has your parents. Mm-hmm. So it's like in some way you deserved that.
Thank you.
I do believe that.
I certainly
paid your duties.
Yeah, paid my dues. Yeah, it'd been quite a lot of jobs from, all over the map and all over the world and building essentially 2 different careers. And I think one of the reasons that I moved here is that although I absolutely have great experiences and still have lovely opportunities in the States and in New York, they kept trying to compartmentalize it, saying like, you're the theater girl only or you're the concert girl only. If you do voices, you're going to do any show that has multiple characters and like one role, we're going to only submit you for that role. So I was about to be like the multi-character comedy queen. And I was like, well, that's fine. I also do sing and speak in my own voice and I'm also an actor's actor and I'd like to do other roles.
I can tell a story.
And London always gave me the opportunities where it was like, oh, well, clearly if you're doing all those different voices and singing coloratura soprano, then we could bring you in for the soprano.
Yeah.
And if you're riffing up that song from Rent, we could also bring you in for the pop rock stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just kept getting, not booking jobs, not being handed jobs. No one was rolling out a red carpet, but the opportunities were better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that I had at that point performed a lot in London and performed a lot in New York and got award nominations for Forbidden Broadway. So yeah, it wasn't a complete stretch that they asked me to do it. But I was in the right place at the right time.
You really were.
And you have to say yes in those moments. You have to say yes.
Could you do it?
Oh, I knew it was coming. Yeah.
Kristen Chenoweth, just something small.
Okay, what would you like me to sing as Kristen?
Oh my God.
And she is the loveliest woman. She is so kind. And she really is. You want me to sing something?
From Wicked.
From Wicked. Well, that's easy. Popular. I'm ever so popular. What's the line? And with an assist from me to be who you'll be instead of dreaming who you were. Well, all right. There's nothing that can stop you from becoming popular. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, even the laugh. I genuinely felt like I was in the room with her then. I was getting all hot and sweaty. I've got a sweaty
I know. Actually, can I do a shameless plug?
Okay, go.
Shameless plug. Talking about bringing everything together.
Oh, yes.
On November 10th, when I'm rehearsing Joseph, like it's going to be crazy. But on November 10th, I'm doing a massive concert.
Okay.
That's like about half my own voice and half impressions called Divas, honoring all the great divas from Barbara Streisand to Beyonce, from Judy Garland to Lady Gaga, all your theater fans and all that. Please do. It's at the Clapham Grant and it's with the 22-piece London Gay Big Band.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not your mama's show. This is massive. I'm doing 4 epic costume changes. Like I'm really bringing you the diva. So it's a big deal.
Now.
Something for everybody, honestly. If you love theater, it's in there. If you love pop rock, it's in there. If you love standards and swing, it's in there.
If you know what's good for you, honestly, I've got Poppy, one of my producers, literally buying tickets as we speak.
Thank you. Yeah,
that is 100% not one to miss.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. November 10th, Clapham Grand. Thank you.
I'm obsessed.
Well, since you had me do an impression, I was like, well, I'm going to mention it.
Yeah. A couple, I say, of other things that you have done is Glinda, Wizard of Oz, Palladium. You've done the one-woman multiple character comedy Application Pending.
Hardest thing of my life.
Really?
It's very much like, I don't know if your listeners have seen the show Fully Committed. It's a one-man play, and it's a guy answering all of the like reservation requests at a restaurant and playing everyone in the restaurant.
God,
That's quite
amazing.
Yeah, it's quite a popular comedy play, and it's basically another version of that. And it's like you have to be a little bit nuts to be able to do it. So
I love that. You've done The Marvelous Wonderettes. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Wonderettes.
Yes, you said that correctly.
Musical, the musical.
Yes. It's sort of like your news review here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that for a long time in New York.
Hello, Dolly.
Yes, I did Hello Dolly, a big production with the big, in America, we have a lot of big symphony orchestras in all the states. The Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra is a big one. And the maestro is a maestro a conductor that's so famous, Jack Everly, and he's most famous for having conducted Carol Channing in like every single performance and revival of Hello Dolly. He wanted to mount a big production with the Indianapolis Symphony with a very popular American, I should say like maybe if I have to categorize it, it'd be like a Christian rock singer.
Okay.
But she's amazing. Sandy Patty was Dolly, and I got to be Minnie Faye. I had the time of my life. It was one of the best productions I've ever been a part of.
I'm in love with you. You're so amazing. You're so funny. You're cracking me up so much.
I'm just animated.
You
my
are
blessing
so
and my curse.
Animated. That is the perfect word for you.
It's like anytime I've ever done TV or film, I'm just like, could you just please move less? And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm definitely a live stage performer.
I feel like this whole episode so far, I'm just sat here like watching you as if I'm like watching telly. I'm like, oh, what? Oh no, it's me. I'm asking the questions. Rent.
Yes, that was so much fun.
And what did you play in Rent?
I played Maureen.
You did?
Yeah. You know, like in New York, I kept getting called in and stuff. And I was like, I'm never going to get this part. Never going to get this part. One day I'll do it. It was just a regional production in the States, but it was really well done.
Yeah.
An amazing cast if you look it up, like all-star cast. And it was the only time I've ever been asked to do any nudity in a show. And I think that's good. Well, Maureen has to moon the audience.
Oh, amazing.
And I remember being so terrified about it because I had completely forgotten that was part of the show. And they're like, you have to moon the audience. So I was like, is it too late to back out? Is it too late?
I signed the contract.
It was fine. It was fine. And
Well,
luckily,
enjoyable.
no one's asked me to do it since.
Oh gosh, well, I'll find some way you can do it. Beehive.
Oh, Beehive. Wow, you're going deep in the vaults here. Beehive was this, again, like an all-star cast of this great theater in Florida in the States called the Riverside Theater.
Yeah.
So I got to do that 60s musical and belt out everything from, you know, the sweet standards like Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? And then at the end I did some of the Janis Joplin songs. I've always been so grateful that I've been able to show different colors in my voice. Even when I got to do Glinda at the Palladium, I was like, why are they calling me in for Glinda? And this is actually true. I submitted for The Witch.
Oh, did you?
I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a tiny little Hannah Waddingham. I can... You know, I liked that it was gritty and kind of funny and kind of wacky. And so I wore all black and I sang an evil, angry song. And they were like, we want to call you back. They're going to call you. They'd like you to read for Glinda. And I was like, what? Are they drunk? Like, what's going on? But that's the thing is you never know what someone behind the table sees. And so when I did Glinda, they're like, we belt the heck out of this, make that bit a little more twangy. Actually, they said, can you like almost country music this part?
Oh, wow.
And then this part, crazy high soprano. And that was when my warm-up was very different. I had to be like, okay, we need to hit these notes again at the Palladium, so don't mess them up.
I feel like you could go in, literally wear all black, give it grit, and you could say one thing on your way out as your own self, and they're like that, Glinda.
Yeah.
You never know.
So those 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes that you actually sung was pointless. Can I please ask about performing in Paris?
Yeah.
The audiences.
Oh my God, it was fantastic.
Was it?
Honestly, I can do an entire podcast just talking about Funny Girl. That was such an incredible moment. Not just for me, but for the whole team, the whole company. There's something about a Parisian audience. Everyone thinks they know. Oh, you know, Paris, France. Oh, it's so standoffish or they're so mean. Absolutely not the case.
Really?
I think it's different if you're a tourist walking around with your map or your phone or in a restaurant trying to order food in the wrong language. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think when you're presenting something, a beautiful piece of theater, all of the audiences I've seen have embraced every show, every production, particularly Funny Girl. So we performed it in English, but there were French subtitles.
Okay.
Half of the audience clearly spoke English or got enough of it, and then half of them were reading the subtitles. And you could tell because if there was a laugh, there'd be a laugh that's right after what you said, and then there'd be a slightly delayed laugh after they've read it.
Yeah.
So it was great to get that mix, but they're very passionate people. So when you're doing a show, particularly like Funny Girl, that has such comedy and such drama, plus the grandeur of the showgirls and the Ziegfeld Follies and all that. That show gave that audience exactly what they needed. Slapstick comedy, tears, belting, sexy ladies. The reviews speak for itself. The show was gorgeous. Stephen Mear put together, and I can say this, I think absolutely the greatest production of Funny Girl that has ever been put on.
Did Stephen Mear put
He
it on?
directed it and choreographed it. And
I love Stephen
I think it was
Mear.
his eye doing both that made it so special. We did the original script and original score that everyone always says needs to be changed and reworked. And I think this production was proof that it didn't have to be. Again, even if I wasn't in it, the audience response just speaks for itself. They were so warm. Oh my gosh, it was great. And they would send gifts and wait at the stage door, just like in London or New York. It was incredible.
I now have a new dream
Oh yeah, they'd love you.
list. I'm adding to my list of dreams, and that is do a show.
They're doing
in
some great
France.
work there. So performers, definitely, if you get a chance to go to Paris when they're doing beautiful productions at some of these theaters, the Châtelet and the Lido, the previous artistic director of the Châtelet, and then the Theatre Marigny, where I did Funny Girl, has now moved on to creating a beautiful theatrical space at what used to be the Lido that was a showgirl show. They've changed the whole venue. They've turned it into a beautiful theater. And Jean-Luc Chaplin is now putting forth gorgeous productions there. In fact, the production they're doing right now, or opening soon, is Hello, Dolly, directed and choreographed by Stephen Mear, starring Caroline O'Connor and other people you all know in the biz. So go see Hello, Dolly, and then go tell them you want to be in the next one.
Yes, okay,
with
I
me.
will.
Tell them we want to be a double act.
We can be a duo.
Sisters. I mean, I'll be your older sister.
We could be sisters.
We could.
I think we could.
If I had not tweezed my eyebrows when I was about 13 and broke the cuticle bed, mine would look like yours.
No, these are bushy. Let's not talk about them.
I wish I had bushy. Well, I tweezed them all out. There's another lesson for you children. Don't tweeze out your eyebrows because they may never grow back.
Have you done voice work for RuPaul?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with RuPaul.
All right, let's give you the list. I've been asked to voice a few of their big divas with all the celebrity impressions. So, and for that one, I was Celine Dion.
Oh, were you?
From Milk, and I had to sing peanut butter must be jelly 'cause the jam don't shake. It was so stupid, but there I am in a recording studio with like people talking to me there, and then everyone in California on the Zoom screen and all of that. Yeah, and so I did Dolly Parton for Trixie Mattel. I did.
I've met Dolly.
Of course you did, doing 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I mean, Dolly is the greatest human that ever lived.
I know.
And I mean,
You're close though.
unbelievable. Oh,
You are.
I really am keeping you on speed dial.
You honestly are one of the best people I've ever met.
Oh my God. Thank you. But I've had such a great time doing the stuff for RuPaul's Drag Race. My other personal favorite, which I cannot do right now, but you can look it up because it's iconic, it's Ben de la Creme rapping as Julie Andrews.
Oh, wow.
It's me doing the RuPaul song Call Me Mother and just watching. It's so crazy. And then, so that's my favorite one. But then also I did the Celebrity Drag Race. I did the 9 to 5 segment and I was like 3 people in it.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm. And so I got to watch Vanessa Williams lip sync to me as Dolly Parton, but as if she was drag. So the whole thing was like,
Dreaming?
Yeah, it was so weird, so surreal.
I love that.
It was great. Yeah, it's great. I think it's called Twerking 9 to 5 if you want to look it up. Twerking 5 to 9. That was it.
Twerking 5 to 9.
That's what it was.
I must.
Oh, yeah.
Final question, as I must let you go.
Okay.
What advice would you give someone who is just about to enter the industry?
Oh, there are 2 things that I wish that I had really taken to heart.
Mm-hmm.
The first, everybody tries to tell you your type and your style, thinking it's going to help you. Very often, that categorization at such a young age, particularly before you even really know yourself in the business, is a negative thing. It limits you, it limits your mindset. And then you walk into a room thinking, this is how I should be, as opposed to this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to really take the time yourself to figure out what you think you are, where you think you fall, and how you are bringing something unique to every role and every show. Because then you're just a carbon copy of somebody else.
Yeah.
And I love doing impressions, but the reason I work as Christina is because I can separate those things.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of performers today are kind of indistinguishable from one another, and they have gorgeous voices and great talent. But what makes the divas that I impersonate so iconic is that there was nobody else like them. So I can impersonate their voices and their mannerisms and their style. So you want to find your own individuality. That's the first thing. And everyone will try to put you in a box.
Okay.
But find your individuality. The other thing is to say yes. Say yes to the jobs that you don't think you want. Sit back and look at it and say, is this going to be a really good learning experience for me? Everybody wants a great part. Everybody wants a great paycheck. But particularly when you're just starting, there is no training like being in the room.
No.
If you're not working, don't be on your phone. Watch what the stage manager is doing. Watch what the music director is doing. Watch what the assistant is doing. Watch what the dance captain and the swings are doing. It is all training. Good performer is one that understands every area of the business. And I don't think that they, again, not every school, I don't know all the programs here, but certainly when I was up and coming, they don't train you in that.
No,
and I always say the best experiences I got, the best training I got was not actually college. It was doing all the shows.
Yeah.
So say yes, get in those theaters, community, Amdram, whatever you've got.
I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot. Yes. It's
Mama Bianco's here. Mama Bianco's here for you.
I say, oh my God, that was like my favorite ep ever. But I genuinely think this has been my favorite ep of any ep I've done so far. So thank you so much.
Sweet. Oh my God. Thank you. This has been such a joy.
Thank you. And thank you for listening. See ya.